We're on episode 26.
No, this one's actually 25, isn't it? Like, didn't we fuck up on that?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Who cares?
25, 26. We're on an episode.
Welcome to Apartment Theater. We're on episode something. I don't know. If you've been counting along, you can tell us in the comments, because I seriously have no idea anymore.
I will never see the comments because we don't know how to see them, so.
Well, we have a YouTube channel now, and it is actually a thing, so.
We do have a YouTube channel now at Apartment Theater.
We also have a Twitter.
And a Patreon.
We do. Yes, we do. Nice. We're going places.
All those links will be somewhere.
Super organized yet, but they exist.
Yay.
They do exist. Here, a little treasure hunt to go find them until we have it organized. Maybe you'll get a little extra. I don't know of what.
It'll be in the description of the podcast, I assume, because where else would we put it? Yeah. Anyway, this week, Cass picked the movie.
I did.
So Cass, tell us about the movie.
Super good at picking movies, you guys.
Real fucking dud.
Anyway, this week I picked The Order, which came out in 2003. Just, 2 years later than A Knight's Tale, which I'm pretty sure this is a really super fucked up sequel to. Because we have Heath Ledger in it, who's our beautiful heartthrob of the early 2000s.
He was a beautiful man. That is.
Yes, he is.
He was a beautiful man.
He is.
I don't know if there was a plot to this movie.
No, because this is the thing. For one, don't get it confused with The Order in 2001, which is an action thriller. I almost watched that.
There's another Order too. It's like in 2019.
The only reason I knew it was the right one because it said Heath Ledger. I'm like, oh, it's Heath Ledger. Because the start of this movie started out like a Law and Order.
It seemed interesting at first.
Yeah. It had a very interesting idea. Like, I think it had a good idea. And then it took that idea and it just went fucking haywire. Because we went from a decent idea to now he's becoming a soul eater. And I'm like, when the fuck did that happen?
So, Cass, try to, at your best, describe the plot.
Our plot is we have this priest, right? That's what he is? Yeah, he's a priest.
Yeah, he's a priest. He was a priest.
And his mentor ends up dramatically dying, and so he goes to investigate to see why his mentor died, and then he discovers this like secret order of things, even though him and his friend were literally taught how to like hunt and kill ghosts and demons and all that kind of shit. And I'm like, oh, this is like weird pseudo supernatural stuff, I guess. Speaking
Poorly
of which,
done supernatural.
Which, here's the thing though, like, the thing that stuck out to me was the weapon that he gets from the Sin Eater, which we discover as part of this like secret order of bullshit, is somebody called a Sin Eater, because if you're excommunicated by the church, you can't get last rites, so you can't go to heaven, but there's another way, and it's a Sin Eater, and so the Sin Eater fucking comes and eats your sins, and then you get to go to heaven, but it has to happen on your, like, deathbed or whatever. Like, the concept, I like it, it's just, it fucking took too long to get there.
It started off interesting for me, and then it just completely drops by, like, I want to say the 20 to 30 minute mark, where I'm starting to think, I'm like, none of this is making any sense. And also, I feel like nothing's happening right now. And also, I was thinking, why is the entire cast of A Knight's Tale in this movie? It seems, I've never seen that movie, but I know who's in that movie. So, you got Baratheon here hanging out with the Joker, and they go on an adventure for a movie about demons. There's not any demons.
There's not any demons in it.
Or ghosts. There's like weird jellyfish things that hop in your mouth.
Oh, and no, there's the two
and they look
weird
terrible.
Fucking children.
Yeah, there are the 2 demon children that we see at the beginning.
I was hoping they'd be the antagonists.
Yeah, the weird weapon that he ends up getting looks almost exactly like the angel blades in the show Supernatural. Like, it is almost a direct copy. And I'm like,
It is a Supernatural episode, is what it feels like. The whole movie.
But the thing is, Supernatural didn't come out or start airing until 2005. So I was 15 when it started airing. So this movie came out 2 years prior.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did Supernatural rip it off? Or
Supernatural is doing like budget cuts, like in the back of the prop room that the whole area can use. They found this like, oh, this is cool. Let's use this prop. It's just it's like, a reusing thing.
It was a lot more like decorated in this movie, where like it's way more like streamlined in Supernatural, and it's a lot bigger too in Supernatural. So it's like the full length of their fucking arm in that show.
I like the weird. There is a bromance, since we're talking about Supernatural, and I see in our Twitch chat a bromance of the angel. Thomas and Alex, I think his name, have they got a beautiful bromance. I love Thomas. The one scene that he's like, "You're Alex." It's like, "I'm Alex." He's Thomas. She's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's wonderful.
That was because you're talking about Heath Ledger and Mark Addy, right? The 2 main.
Yeah.
The whole time I was just thinking to myself, man, if this was in the tone of something a lot more fun, like if this is like a Shaun of the Dead type kind of movie, this would have been a really fun movie to watch. But instead they play it straight, and it's terrible. It's so boring.
They changed the plot in the middle of the movie. Just absolutely changed it. I don't think Heath Ledger tried to act. This, like, I've watched his other movies. He can act. This was piss poor acting.
I want to say it's the opposite. I would say he was the only one acting, and everyone else was phoning it in, especially the chick. Shannyn, what's her face? She was terrible.
Oh, none of them were acted. I'm saying, like, because I know
she's just hot. That's it. That's all she's got. I mean, she's extremely hot, so she can, I guess, coast on that, but still.
Heath, we know he can act. Like, we see in his acting. Yeah. I'm saying in this, his acting was piss poor. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think it was piss poor acting, because we know he can act.
Yeah. I mean, that could have been a director thing, too, though.
Maybe.
Yeah, poor direction.
Just be really bad at acting. I know you're good. Just be bad.
Just be bad. Like, just
show me how
every line, okay? Like,
I couldn't hear him for a lot of them.
Have a personality.
I'm not gonna lie. I started watching this movie at like 4:30, and I couldn't sit through it, so I didn't start it back up till about 5:30 when I got dinner, because I was like, maybe I can eat and watch this. I ate it and watched, and then I still couldn't. So then I started playing a game of Teamfight Tactics while I was playing. Missed nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I walked away, went to the bathroom, and I was like, oh, I can realize now that I don't care about this movie is because I didn't pause it. I just let it run. I didn't miss anything either. No. So I was like, okay, cool. Because the plot, it doesn't go anywhere, and it doesn't make any sense. And they make it seem like you're supposed to care about anything going on, but nobody has any character development whatsoever. So you're just kind of left with like, it just makes me think maybe this movie was another one of those kind of movies that it was supposed to be something else, and then 20th Century Fox was like, hey, let's take all of this shit out because this might be offensive for the religious shit in there. So it comes out as this half-baked turd of a movie that was a box office failure. It had a $35 million budget and it made $11 million in the box office.
Ooh.
Yeah, and if you have to put like, when you take like marketing, you kind of have to like double the budget then. And yeah, it was box office poison. And it's not one of those movies that has like a cult following, at least not that I'm aware of. I looked on Letterboxd. It has a 2.3. It has an 8% Rotten Tomato. I'm like, this movie can't be that bad. And we were watching, I was like, I'm kind of into this. And then as it was going on, it fell apart. Just crumbled in your hand.
It was like watching the start of a I think, like a new season of a show, because you have like the first half that seemed like a whole episode of itself, and then the story completely changed in the second episode, which is like the last part of it, and it still changed again almost like a third episode by the end of the movie, because he didn't want to be a sin eater, and then he became one anyways after his
On accident.
girlfriend
So to describe what the
died.
Sin Eaters are, it's they go in and when someone's about to die, they go in and they grab their sins and it looks like a jellyfish coming out of them.
I like how they did it. Like, I think it looked cool.
The CG was terrible.
Oh yeah, but I think like the style that they were going for, like it was cool. I think for that time period, it was done.
The set where they go in, where they're in Rome and they're looking at like books and shit, like the main hub place that they were staying at. I thought that looked really cool. It had like a nice like gothic atmosphere. And also in the cemetery scene where he's with the children, I thought that looked fucking great. But what killed it for me though was Mark Addy's character in the background walking, and as Heath Ledger's getting blown across because the demon children are doing like some kind of like spell thing, which it doesn't mean anything that they're doing this, but there's this demon spell thing that they're doing and it's gusting them away. And Mark Addy's character just comes up in the background and is just walking, not even caring what's going on. He's just like, oh, you're having a bit of a, you might want to put that thing away. So I'm thinking that he wasn't told what the hell was going on, and I think, if anything, they might have spliced him in that scene for a second.
Yeah.
Because there's another scene at the very end where obvious green screen is behind him, and he's talking to Heath Ledger as he's on the ground, but they never show his face when they show Heath Ledger, so I'm like, he clearly was never... He wasn't there in that scene. He was there for some of the other scenes, but that scene was like really jarring. Like, oh, this looks terrible.
It was like
Night
a
at the
yeah.
Night at the Museum, Smithsonian. The cowboy and the whatchamacallit? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. The soldier, Greek soldier, I think that's what he was. I forget.
Was he Alexander the Great?
Yeah, yeah. They were both in Australia during the whole filming, so all of them were being filmed in Australia, and those clips were being sent over to the editors and edited them in. So they were never on the same screen together, and that's why like some of the stuff look a little weird. But so that's where I'm thinking like possibly the same thing. Like maybe he had to go to a different thing, like some kind of emergency, so they tried to green screen him in and it looked terrible. Also, the cemetery, if you put a little bit more light on that, it looked like the exact cemetery from Hocus Pocus.
It probably was.
It probably was,
yeah.
Yeah, it could have been.
So I think when the movie started to go to shit was when they go to the nightclub-esque place, which was totally like out of left field.
Sense.
That's when the movie stopped, because I was like, oh, cool. Like, this could be going somewhere. Like, this might turn into some kind of like weird action horror thing, because it kind of has like the Matrix feel to it, where it's like you got to follow the rabbit. But not that they have that metaphor in there. But yeah, I was just thinking like, oh, cool. Like, we're going to know this like society thing, and this is going to get like really interesting. And then it doesn't at all. The society is really boring. And
then they have the weird twist of the one cardinal, which is Alex and Thomas's friend, becomes the leader of this.
And that means nothing too.
Is the leader.
Yeah, he is the leader, and he's called a
he wants to be a pope.
And yeah, so they're trying to take out the current pope so he can be pope, so we can I don't know. And they were saying like there that like doesn't make any sense.
It had a cool idea. Like, I like the idea of them going into this underground like party goth kind of area, and get brought into like a back room where all of like the big honchos are. Like, I liked that. That was a cool idea. Like having this in a separate room, but just utterly failing with it. Like there's movies that've done that right. Oh man, I can't think of them off the top of my head. Well, The Matrix, yeah, but there's other movies.
Queen of the Dam's terrible. That's a bad example.
Yeah, that's a horrible example.
But yeah,
man, I can't remember. It was like a vampire hunting movie, and the one scene he was looking for a vampire, and he went into one of those
Was it one of the Blade movies?
Yeah, I think
Blade
it was one
2.
Of the Blade ones. Yeah.
I think it was Blade 2.
Probably.
Because that's the only one that I've seen for some reason.
I need to watch those movies again.
I'm down for it.
Those are good movies.
We need to watch Van Helsing. I love Van Helsing. But I also...
I fucking hate that movie so much, but I love
it. The game is really good. This is how you can tell this movie was shit, by the way. We're already like... We're like 16 minutes into this, and we're like...
Talk about other things.
Because there's not a scene that stands out. I mean, there were a few that was like, oh, this could have been cool. And some of the cinematography for it was pretty neat. But like for the most part, there's not really anything going on.
They were playing up... God, what the hell was the girl's name? Because I can't remember. Mara. When they were playing her up like she's some kind of important being, like... What about these headaches that you always get? Like, they were playing her up to be, like, this important, like,
all got
possibly,
cut.
Like, every cool, like, anchor plot point that they could have had just, like, fizzled away into nothing. And I'm like, but you had something cool going here, and you're just like, nah.
And I'm fine with them killing her, like, ultimately killing her. I'm fine, like, with the idea of having, like, her... being this like important thing and then dying. By the way to go with the second week of watching people just fucking gouging their wrists open.
We didn't have to
it's wrist cutting month, guys.
Oh yeah.
No. Thank you.
But it's like in Men in Black 2 with the one girl that ends up being a queen of an alien race.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's kind of like how they were like playing her up to be important, and like even though there was other stuff going on in the in that movie, it played along like beautifully, and she still left and stuff, and it still had something. And they could have had something with this, like in that.
It all got cut. I'm telling you, there's probably some director's cut out there that the movie is actually amazing. It probably was too long because this movie was about like 108 minutes, and they probably like, we don't need this to be this 2.5 hour epic thing. Like, let's cut out 50 minutes of it, and it probably got destroyed because it just seemed like a huge chunk of the movie was gone. And it's like, I felt like several different movies were happening or something like this. It's like, what's happening? Like, why are we doing this now? Like, this just kind of, it whiplashes you. You're like, what the fuck are we doing now? Like, we're doing this now? I don't want to do this. Like, what are we doing?
It's like they were trying to have a series of a movie. Like, they planned for like 3 movies, but they realized they aren't going to have the budget or the time for that. So they just tried to put all 3 of the series into one movie. Just smash it together.
The original Sin Eater guy, William, first of all, I want to know how the fuck he managed to get his eyes to be epically dilated throughout the entire goddamn movie. I'm
Cocaine.
Like, are you high this entire movie? Like, why are your eyes so dilated? Anyway.
The answer is yes.
Like, yeah, he probably was. Like, they kind of started this plot idea of basically he was doing all of these things in Alex's life, our main character, to turn Alex into a Sin Eater and like steer him on that path. And so like we have this mirroring of Alex's mom committing suicide, and then his girlfriend commits suicide in the same way. Definitely wasn't ripped off by Supernatural at all. And
Whoops.
then, like, we don't actually know what William is like as a sin eater. Is he a demon? Is he just like a supernatural being? Like, he's lived apparently for a really fucking long time for
Right.
At least
living off of
at
sin.
least 400 years, because he
500.
said no, he's at least 400 because he said he lost his favorite dagger like 400 years ago. So he got his dagger back. It's a nice looking dagger.
His fucking blade. But like, so like you were saying with Mara, like she was just a fucking pawn in William's game to like fuck with Alex. And I'm like, oh good, another one of those. Just a woman here to further a man's storyline, which doesn't really exist. Like, he didn't have any growth from that, like, at all.
He was such a stale actor. Holy crap, I couldn't.
No. Like, he could have been so cool and so menacing looking and like creepy.
He had the perfect, like,
it wasn't there.
The attitude and like style they were going for this character was great. Like, he's kind of like talking down to everybody, like he's fucking better than everybody, but he's also been through shit, so like he's just like, I've been through shit, fuck all of you. And like, he has this like mansion and these two servants that I'm assuming are immortal too, because like when he dies, the servants now serve Alex, and so I'm thinking also like one of those. You have the immortal servants that will always be there when like a new god is chosen or whatever. Even though he's not a god, but I don't even know if he's working, like if he's like good. Like, I don't know if he's supposed to be good because he's removing sins for people to go to heaven. Like, I don't know.
Well, it seemed like he was relieving one of the people.
I'm sorry. I know I'm not knocking people's like religions or anything, but from what I know in Christianity, isn't it asking for forgiveness of your sins will allow you through the gates? So in which case they were very obviously going off of Christianity.
I mean, yeah,
which
he was a priest.
Then there should have been no, like, there's no point of a sin eater. Unless the sin eater is throwing them to hell.
From what I was understanding was that, like, if you're excommunicated from the church, then you can't ask for forgiveness. And that's why the sin eater exists. Because since you can't ask for forgiveness, then you can't be forgiven. So the sin eater is there to eat your sins so you can still go. Like, that's the way I was understanding it. And so it seems like the sin eater is only for, like, priests and, you know, whoever, like, clergy people. And
that do fuck things.
That do really horrible shit, I guess. Like, and get excommunicated.
There is no.
Oh yeah, I guess he's letting like really shitty people into heaven, basically.
Yeah.
Like, and allowing them to go in. So I feel like on that regard, he's probably not a good person.
Most likely not.
Like, or a good entity of some kind.
You know, this movie wasn't a good entity either.
Alex makes himself a good person because he's like, the good people that are mistaken, I'll send them to heaven, and then the bad people will go to hell and be doomed forever.
Yeah, that's our like last line. Our last thing that we get to see Alex do, which I'm like, you know, I'm okay with. I'm like, all right. He takes the cult leader guy.
Who was their friend, but he fucking crossed him over.
Yeah, double-crossed him, whatever. Like, he was part of the, like, weird plot, too, with Alex becoming a sin eater or whatever. But Alex ends up killing him, or, like, convincing him to kill himself or something. So that way he can eat his sins, except that he forces the guy to eat his own sins.
And it collapses him.
And it collapses.
You hear his ribs cracking and everything.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
It was.
Cool, I guess.
It was something.
Fun. you know, probably.
I like how he like shoved the bread in his mouth though, and he's just holding them like.
Eat it.
I just.
This movie sucks.
There was no point of those children to be in there. Like, what was the point of those children?
Nothing.
Literally.
What was the point of anything?
Yeah. Like, you could have not had them in there, and it'd still be the same.
I just really wanted those kids to be far more menacing than what they were. I wanted everything about this
they
movie
looked
to be
awful.
way more menacing.
Like the kids weren't like terrible looking. The design
CG on them was.
The CG on them was, but the design they had on them, like their outfit design and stuff, was fucking boring and awful. Like,
yeah, like it was just poor, like everything.
Like, you could have, like, put them into, like, a Renaissance outfit or something, like, something simple, which they clearly don't mind doing because they did that for the one Sin Eater to tell his upbringing, which I barely heard half of his upbringing other than, my brother is a priest and now I'm a Sin Eater. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. Who's the guy that died? Like, I don't even fucking know the guy that saved you and just, like, not yeets himself, he just falls off the edge. But he was excommunicated, so they had to go pay somebody to come help him.
They paid the Sin Eater to come help him.
And it's just...
It was weird.
None of it.
I did like the line when Alex sees the kids at first and, like, Mara is, like, trying to interact with him and he's like, don't. And she's like, what are they? And he says, orphans, but I don't know from what.
Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of like that little, like, hook right there of, like, orphans, but I don't know from what, like, oh, we have some supernatural shit. Like, okay.
And we do, but
like,
unfortunately, that could have been in a more interesting movie. It
goes nowhere. Like, his mentor, like, when we first see the Sin Eater, he's, like, dabbling in the arcane icy or something like that.
It honestly made me think of
nowhere. I'm like,
that whole scene makes me think of Series of Unfortunate Events with the old guy and the two kids. Just like this movie had potential. It really did.
It really did. And it's just
no.
Big old turd sandwich is what this movie was.
Yeah.
I'd recommend watching anything else. I'm trying to think of a good demon movie. That's The Omen, I guess.
The Omen's good.
I mean, that's just Satan, but...
What is it? The Ninth Gate that has Johnny Depp in it. It reminded me of that, but, like, The Ninth Gate isn't really that good either.
Yeah.
Demons are hard to do, you know? Like,
yeah, they really are.
Well, this isn't demons, but I thought it was good. Sleepy Hollow. I thought that was with Johnny
That's like
Depp.
A ghost type thing, which kind of fits into the oculate thing. Like,
yeah, it's.
I always
really
said
good.
that right.
How about Sweeney Todd? He's not a demon, but he gets called a demon.
That's not in the same.
Beach Street.
Right? Yeah, that's a fucking fantastic movie.
Just watch Supernatural. It's fine.
Yeah, go watch Supernatural. It's way better.
They get the same eye candy. Like,
yeah.
You know.
And they can act.
Yeah. Watch A Knight's Tale.
And at points they're shirtless.
Watch A Knight's Tale. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I assume it's better than this movie.
I need you to watch A Knight's Tale because that movie is funny. Like, it has these funny moments in it, and it's
End of Days.
Like, it's good. End of Days. I've never seen it.
Nope. Twitch chat said End of Days.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, do I.
That's actually throwing us to have a movie that none of us know. That's pretty good.
The Exorcist. You could watch that instead.
Oh yes. Oh, I know you're gonna hate this, but I like this movie. 13th Ghosts.
13 Ghosts has really good ghost designs, but the movie itself, the remake, was really iffy.
Their ghost designs are beautiful.
It's got Matthew Lillard in it. Every movie he's in's awesome.
I love him so much.
And
who is also a huge D&D nerd.
Is he?
Yes, he is. and I love him. Also, he's Shaggy, who's like the ultimate being.
He's in Scream.
This is true.
He's the best killer in Scream.
Oh my god.
Which, okay,
Scream.
so side chat here. I watched Scream 5 recently, and they were doing like this whole like callback to like the first movie thing, and they have like the first killer, like they have one of the killers because there's 2 killers, but they have one of them there, and that's the original actor. But Matthew Lillard, nowhere. I'm like, did they not ask him to come to the fucking movie? Like, dude, he was like the best part of the movie. They even like they have a picture of Jamie Kennedy. Like, you're telling me you couldn't get a picture of Matthew Lillard or something? That infuriated. Like, Abby and I both were just like, what the fuck is this? Where is he? Yeah. You're gonna do this guy, but not him? I just punched the mic. Sorry. Yeah, this movie sucked though. Okay, now we're starting to kind of drift off with it. Like, yeah, just watch any other good demon. Yeah. Oh, actually, I got a really good one. Watch the movie Demons. It's a Argento, and I forgot who the other director is, but it's a real wild fucking ride of a movie. The movie has no plot, but it doesn't matter. It realizes it has no plot, and about the middle of it, you'll know when the plot's gone when the helicopter drops from the ceiling. Once that happens, all bets are off. The movie goes off the rails, and it's like a weird cocaine dream. It's amazing. I highly, highly recommend watching that movie.
Jeepers Creepers. I love that
Don't
movie.
Support that movie because the director is a piece of garbage.
Is he?
Yes, very bad. It's not like it's almost as bad as like Roman Polanski, who is a real piece of garbage. Yeah, that's another demon movie. Rosemary's Baby. That's a great movie. Too bad the director's a piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
Right. Jeepers Creepers is so good. The creature design is so fucking good. The song they use for him is great.
The second and third one are horrible.
We don't talk about those. How he decides to take people and like what he wants to take, like, that's depressing. That's depressing.
So do your research on the directors.
Honestly, watch Underworld. Underworld is better than this, and
Underworld is hot. Like, let's just. Kate Beckinsale is still hot.
Oh my god!
And
I'm not saying the look of it is bad. I'm saying the storyline isn't that great. The look of it, I love how they did the lichens because it's different. I like how they did the vampires because it's different. I like the idea of having.
I like that Kate Beckinsale's hot.
Like that too.
She's in a fucking skin tight.
Yes, that's all I wanted.
Rotating head vampires, like, and when they're like reviving him, like with all like the blood packs on him and stuff as he's like sitting in the chair, like, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I think
chat, it was from 2003. That's the movie.
I think we're calling it on this because
I don't know. I'm trying to like drag this out a little bit because we're only 30 minutes in.
Yeah,
I mean, 5 more minutes for 30 minutes.
This movie doesn't deserve like more than 4. Like, there's nothing else to talk about. This movie sucked. Like, we've suggested other movies. We've talked about other things. I think it's over for this one. I think.
I was hoping for so much because of Heath. Like,
me too. I was hoping like a hidden gem type movie, like, it failed in the box office, but it actually was a good movie.
Good, yeah.
And it wasn't. It was a big stinker of a movie.
Heath was good in it.
There is a really hot,
he was nice to look
kind of hot sex scene in it.
The chick's hot.
Was so awkward. That was so awkward. I don't know if maybe Heath was actually a virgin or what, because it was so fucking awkward.
Poor direction.
The actual sex scene.
I think it was poor direction.
Oh, very poor.
Also, sex scenes are super awkward to film. I say that like I have experience. I don't.
You do.
It's really awkward. So.
Cass has filmed many sex scenes.
Jason
all
Momoa.
bad.
All bad.
Jason Momoa with oh gosh, why can't I think of her name? Who plays Daenerys in
Emilia Clarke?
There we go. Yeah. Emilia Clarke. Ironically, for the longest time, when I
wasn't hot.
Like, looked, nice. Amelia Clark and
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, there was another story I was going with it. But anyways, Amelia Clark and Jason Momoa were doing an interview, and they got asked about the sex scene that they do. And she was like, well, you see, he walks in with a sock puppet on his dick.
Of course he does.
And he's just waving around like, yeah. And she's like, we took so long to shoot that scene because I couldn't stop laughing.
At least he made it like comfortable. He wasn't being like creepy about it.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah, this is going to be dumb. Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
God, he's so hot too.
Well, let's get this over with. This episode's done.
We're going to end it on cocksock.
Yes. If you like this episode, feel free to watch the other episodes that we have listed on Spotify. You can also find our YouTube channel, which hopefully is in the description by the time we're talking about this. We have a Twitch channel as well. I don't know the link to that. I assume it's twitch.tv/apartment theater. I don't know. But eventually we'll have all of the links and everything ready soon. Hopefully we'll have a Patreon going on as well. So if you want to support the show, you don't have to put a lot of money into it, like $1. We have to pay for some of these movies, and it gets really expensive really quickly. So, like, I mean, it's like $12 altogether for the month. But, like, you know, it's like, come on.
Then we also have our hours. We have to pay for hours, the amount of time that we have.
Right. We have to pay for like behind the scenes stuff like with Buzzsprout and things like that too. So
it does help us like a lot. But it just, you don't have
And it shows that you're out there. And we'll even do a shout out for you, because even if you just give $1, we'll still shout it out, because why not? Yeah, unless your name is like something like really bad, because we know the tricks. We're not going to say the names, you know, we're not going to say Anita Cock or Mike Hunt. If your names are actually that, I'm sorry, but no.
I think we would say those, actually.
Actually, you're right.
We would say
Hugh
those without
Johnson.
Without somebody having that as a screen name, we would just say that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so if you like the episodes, please download the episodes. That's the main metric that we see, but also just listen to it. That helps, I'm sure, too. And tell your friends. That helps the most, honestly. And we'll do something special if we hit a huge milestone, which I think we're about to hit 200 downloads. Maybe we actually surpassed it. I'm not sure. But for all those that are downloading it, it means a lot, because we kind of just going off of what we can here. And yeah, it'd be cool if you guys check out the other episodes, tell your friends, subscribe to the Patreon, and get the fuck out. Bye. Fuck you.
Hey.